Hi, I'm H. Nazario, and we're coming to you from Columbus, Georgia, from Cook's Place, and we're doing our fourth segment of interviewing Mr. Paul Mezick, our DCT teacher. And that's strange. You know, I thought DCT stood for Dismissed Class at 12. But Mr. Mezick has corrected me on that. Okay, from the last time we were talking, Mr. Mezick, we were talking about when you ran into this old friend of yours from API. And for those of you, again, that do not know what API stands for, is Alabama Polytechnic Institute, known now as Auburn University. You were talking where you ran into your old friend Bubba Ball, your classmate at API, and you told him about this job at Baker High. Tell us about that.
Well, Bubba was at the bus depot, and I saw him. He looked a little down, and I said, "Bubba, what are you doing up here?" He said, "Oh, I'm looking for a job somewhere. You got any idea where I can get a job?" And I sure, man, I said, Muskogee County School District is just looking for people like you that knows teaching and coaching, and they'd be glad to have somebody. Why don't you go and talk with them and see if they had got something for you?" And he said, "Hey, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that." So I went on my merry way, and of course Bubba got on the bus and got back down to Pepperell and headed for Auburn, where his wife was secretary to the police department in Auburn, Alabama. So I said to them, I said, "I sure hope Bubba gets a good job, because he's a doggone good coach, and I believe he could handle anything that they could give him over here." So with that in mind, I kept my fingers crossed, and Bubba got the job, and he was well pleased, and he was happy because he was around the kind of things that he liked to do, and he liked to talk a lot. So Bubba was feeling at home, there's no doubt about it.
Well, thank you. That's a good explanation. Okay, now, so you're at Baker High School, and you're starting your DCT programs. Can you remember your first class?
Well, the first class was all the kids gathered around and wanted to know what time we to get out. And I said, "Well, we're going to get out after you serve the period of time in class that you must do in order to qualify to be a DCT student." So with that in mind, I kind of put some things on the board that they need to look for and what they could expect. And getting out at 12 o'clock wasn't as easy as they thought it was, because when they was through with school for that particular day, they had to go work another 4 or 5 hours in order to earn the time and the hours that they needed to do to get credit for the course, which was a two credit course at that particular time.
That's a good explanation. You know, one thing what you were just telling, that's okay. What you were telling us about that, one thing I've always wondered, did the students get their own jobs, or did you help them get the job?
Well, it was a combination of the two of us. If they wanted to be mechanics, then we got them jobs in the shops around town where they could go and be able to learn every facet of the job. And then if they wanted to work in industry, they worked in industry and received full pay, and they usually worked about 5 or 6 hours a day, and then they'd be free to go home and study. It wasn't an easy task, because they had to work and they had to also study in order to be able to pass the course, and it give 2 credits, where normally math or science only gave 1 credit. DCT gave 2 credits, 1 for work and then 1 for class.
Well, thank you. That's a great explanation. I had no idea it was like that. Now, since it was both ways about finding a job, tell us exactly, say like, let's turn the clock back to 1960 or 61, and I come to you and I say, "Mr. Mezick, I want to get in your class, but I can't find a job. Can you help me?" How would you go about it?
Well, first thing, I would talk to the student and find out what their interests were. And if the interest was geared to what our class could be geared to, then it didn't make much difference. they could almost work at anything they liked as long as it was honorable and it was something that would help them in the future to be good workers and to be good students too. Because with some of the students, it didn't take long. They were making real good pay, making real good money, and they was really enjoying the fact is that they was doing work that they could use for the rest of their life and gaining a livelihood.
That's a very good explanation. Can you remember of who was the first outstanding student that you had that succeeded in his own profession that he was doing in high school? Maybe, for example, perhaps in the restaurant work or some other kind of profession?
Well, one that comes to mind was one of our outstanding students in Columbus, Georgia. He was the outstanding student in the state, and he was a real good hard worker. He wound up owning 4 restaurants. It was in the restaurant business. He started out here close to where the school is, and then he got on the north part of town, and next thing you know, he became manager, and he buy stock in the company, and then he would be the owner of the company. And eventually he owned 3 places out here on Victory Drive. He made real good money, and it was real interesting and challenging work for him. And his name was Robert Lindsay, and Robert is a credit to the course, he's a credit to the school, and he's a credit to the state of Georgia.
Well, that's great, Robert Lindsay. I'm sure there were others, but we're running a little short on time, Mr. Mezick, so I'm going to take a little time out right here, and we have a little surprise for you. In behalf of all the students at Baker High, that took DCT programs, and even the guys that were your friends at Baker High, football player and all, and so on, and some of the other alumni, I'd like to present to you with this brick. This is an actual Baker High School brick. It comes from, I think, the old part. In the early, when the school started, it was the elementary part. And it states Baker High School, 1945, 1994, Paul Mezick, DCT Teacher, 1951 and 81. And I know you'll treasure that.
Well, this is something that is to be cherished the rest of my life, because when I went to Baker High School, it was a challenge to be able to work and go to school at the same time. And by being able to do this, getting in with the students, it made me make a decision that this is what I want to do the rest of my life, is to teach and work at Baker High School as long as the program existed, and to serve the purpose for which it was intended. For that purpose, I gave 32 years of my time and effort and tried to pick the best situation that students could take advantage of by doing good work and eventually owning their own business and being outstanding and serving the purpose for which it was intended.
That's very good. We're going to close this segment right now. We're going to do one more segment because we still have a lot more to find out from Mr. Mezick. So at this time, Mr. Mezick, if you'll join me, and thank you for watching this segment, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.